put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning, viewers, and welcome back. It's Tobago Updates morning show coming to you here live from the Port Mall in Scarborough, Tobago, in the beautiful island of Trinidad and Tobago. On set with us this morning, we have Braden Roberts, tutor, Tobago officer, and we'll be discussing the online learning adaptability and looking at the scenario and the situation with teacher burnout. Good morning, Braden.
Good morning to the viewers as well.
How are you doing this morning?
I'm all right.
All right, so we're going straight into the issues. It's no secret that there's been a firm position by the government and by extension the division with regards to education and teachers coming out to school. What is the general thoughts? Just give me a summary of what's the thoughts from teachers' perspective.
All right, so let me first start by saying I have been listening to the Prime Minister, and I believe that there's a disconnect with what he thinks is happening in education and what is actually happening in education. What is being offered now, the country is going to pay for this in the next 5 years. We have been operating out of short-term guidelines, 1 month, 3-month guidelines. But we have never had a working group to develop a sustainable plan for education moving forward. There are students being left behind. And yes, they are touting the successes of SEA being pulled off and CXC pulled off and so on. But outside of the top 100, are we tracking those students who are the 40%ers, the 45%ers? We are not getting those persons. So as we have been advocating for teachers, teachers have been burnt out because we are seeing where some of our students have been lost. And we are going beyond. Some teachers are using up the entire weekend. Some teachers are losing sleep because they are planning late into the night, trying to make the system work.
Wow.
Let me ask you here, Braden. I mean, does Tutor Tobago hold the same position as Tutor Trinidad? What is Tutor Tobago's position?
Well, it's one unified association, and we do hold the same position. What we are asking for is for at least a working committee in the first instance to look at that plan for education going forward. To me, education is at free fall right now. We don't have a full grasp as to where education is on the ground. Other than that, for the short term, we need a modality that caters for all students. We understand the need for vaccinated persons because we are afraid of persons getting ill if they are exposed and not being able to sustain. However, this segregation would create a further divide in such a way where, as I mentioned before, we will be paying for this next 5 years, next 6 years, when these students who have been lost come out into the system being frustrated. It's something that we have to live with, God spare our lives.
How? Okay. And that's the scary part about it for me. The situation, let's be very real with it. As at today, Monday the 18th, it's 4th, 5th, and 6th formers that are out.
Yes, as of last week.
As of last week, yes. Right. Mm-hmm. And there's an intention to also bring out within this month, 1st to 3rd formers.
Yes.
So I have a very clear kind of picture for you, Braden. Mm-hmm. I have teachers that work within the system, and they are saying clearly, I'm out to school, Skeet, and there are 2 or 3 students that are vaccinated and in my classroom.
That's right.
Versus the how many plus that are at home that are unvaccinated. And it pains me that I cannot bring a balance in terms of offering education to the collective. What kind of position is tutor taking to ensure that there's greater level of advocacy? Because the position of the government, as espoused by the Prime Minister over the weekend, has been very, very precise. He's holding to this kind of situation, of course, supported by the Minister of Education.
Well, I'm grateful for the question. More and more we see that what is happening now is more so of a push for vaccine than an enhancement of the education offering. Having teachers come out to teach 2 children in front of them, and then you have 20 plus children that are at home, it's causing teachers to do all sorts of things that will get them into trouble. So tutor is making that call. When you go out to work in the physical space, you are responsible for the children in front of you. The advocacy has to go beyond tutor. A lot of persons are sitting back hoping that tutor will just win this battle. But it's the citizenry. We are all living in Trinidad and Tobago and should have the same interest. So we are asking parents, we are asking all the stakeholders, our principals, because they have thrown this on principals to find a way. What does find a way mean? If there are ways in which the ministry would have thought of, put out to the public, right, these are some ways in which some schools can function, and we all know what we are working with. What is happening now, we are leaving teachers out here to dry. So some teachers are going using their phone, the data on their phone, to try and access the online students while they are at school.
Some teachers are working with their home internet.
And what is happening out of that is the child in front of them will be deprived, because what are you focusing on? Are you focusing on the child that they called out to school for you to teach, or are you trying to balance online? Is the child able to follow the online properly while they are in front of you? And the reverse. If I'm focusing in my class and I have a group of children online just spectating, are we teaching? So some persons believe that once you provide education material that is teaching, it's not teaching. The asynchronous model, where you put work, the planning can be done in such a way where children are educated based on the videos posted and so on. But teaching is more than just presenting material, and to have groups spectating will not suffice at this time. It will only create a greater divide.
You mentioned earlier that there seems to be a disconnect between what is actually happening, what the Prime Minister thinks is happening, and what is actually happening. What is the next step? Because, I mean, overnight, as Julian mentioned a while ago, overnight, as of today, there would be no online, there's supposed to be no online teaching. What is the next step? Well, first of all, that is tutors' call, because there are teachers, as I mentioned before, will get themselves into trouble. We will call out to teach face-to-face. Right. This next step should be meaningful consultation. Tutors have been asking for this for a very long time. However, politics is at play. So we have briefings that we call consultation. You call the parties to the table, they brief us as to what they are going to do. Then we may raise concerns. Various concerns were raised. They will pick out one or two and have them put into their guidelines. And they go to the media, where we listen to the various stakeholders and they point out the one or two things that they would have taken on board. What is needed is a working group. To me, the government believes that the pandemic will subside and we just go back to where we were. We need to have a plan for education. Actually, we have schools open and then teachers teaching, and we don't have that vision as to where education is really going.
So Tutor is advocating for a working group in terms of going forward.
To develop that plan. There must be a plan.
I want to know, has the discussion come up at any point with regards to mandating for teachers? Because you are trying to emphasize that in order for students to come back to school, that they have to be vaccinated. So I want to ask the flip side, has there been any mandate on the part of teachers, or are you telling me that unvaccinated teachers can also present themselves in the classroom, having returned to duty along with vaccinated, to teach children, but unvaccinated children should remain at home?
Right, so I'm grateful for that question, and that question has been posed in many different forms. Our fight is not at all with vaccine. Our situation here is that there's a segregation, and we are asking for a modality that caters for all. The question and the concern of vaccination, that is, we hold that as an individual's choice. I will openly say I took the vaccine. That's my choice, that's from my comfort zone. The education drive for me was not to where it was supposed to be, to get more persons vaccinated. Is it really a choice? Is it really a matter of choice? Because I mean, from all that we've seen, Mr. Roberts, you know, there is a direct push, a direct force upon the unvaccinated to get vaccinated. So, you know, it's your choice. You make your decision. We're not going to force you to do it. However, if you do not do it, you cannot access X, Y, and Z. Is it really a choice? Well, yes, it is. But what is happening now is frustration on the part of the government, because we believe, like long ago teaching, once I say, you do. So they said to take the vaccine, persons did not take it, and then frustration kicks in, so we force them now. But the education should have been crafted in such a way to give persons the confidence about what they're hearing, the positive about the vaccine, so that they do take it up. Those persons who are spreading the misinformation, don't just dismiss it. You listen to them to see how to correct the messaging that they are putting forward.
I have to touch, just as we look to wrap up this interview, Tutor has done some blackout days that have taken place, and we have seen where teachers have not gone to the classroom. What has been the impact of that in terms of trying to send a clear message? What's the objective?
Well, as I would have mentioned before, Truth have been in this fight for a plan that serves all. Any segregation will lead to further burnout. The message is that there are persons who are willing to contribute to devising that plan. If we do not have that support of all stakeholders, so Twitter had that fight in the first two actions that you would have mentioned. We now have this call for other stakeholders to come on board so that we can have a plan that caters for all. So that's the purpose.
All right.
All right, you've heard it there, Braden Roberts, and we'll certainly be chatting some more with him, I'm sure, as this matter continues to unfold, where we continue to give priority, most importantly, to our students. That's our future, and that indeed will shape the Tobago that we